Welcome into Locked On Phillies. The Phils with a huge walk-off win last night in what was a really sloppy game. And now their final home series of the year starts tonight. We'll discuss on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Been talking Phils baseball for years over on 97.5 The Fanatic on the radio. It's going to be a short episode here of Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I just lost an entire episode where I recapped last night's game and previewed all this stuff. So this system we use sometimes goes down and we have technical issues just like everywhere else. And yeah, it drives me absolutely insane sometimes. Well, let's talk about last night's game because that drove me insane too. The Phillies got shut out through 7 innings. Zack Wheeler looked really, really good in his first appearance back off the injured list. Noah Syndergaard pretty solid in relief. The bullpen really good. Sir Anthony Dominguez was the only Phillies pitcher who gave up a run. And you could argue that he shouldn't have because Bryson Stott made an error in the top of the 8th inning that put them in a situation where they had to pitch to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who hit a 3-run home run to open the scoring in the 8th. Now, the Phillies responded in the bottom of the 8th and scored 3 runs, starting with a JT Realmuto home run, a Dalton Guthrie RBI single, a Kyle Schwarber RBI single to make it 3-3. And then they'd end up, Matt Vierling would play hero, though, on the night. Even though JT Realmuto, you could argue, was the player who got it all started. Matt Vierling was 5 for 5 on the night. His first 5-hit game of his career, obviously. Only the second time he's ever cleared 4 hits in a game, which is just, it was a great night for him. And he gets the RBI walk-off single in the bottom of the 10th after David Robertson does a great job in the 9th of shutting the door. You have Andrew Bellotti who comes in the 10th, who works out of danger even with a runner on second. Gene Segura makes a great play up the middle with a catch and a dive to double off. Oh my God. It was just a great play by Gene Segura I think it might have tipped off Bellotti's glove even a little bit. Segura makes a diving catch and he lays out to get the runner on second and end the threat of scoring in that inning and gives the Phillies a chance to walk it off easily in the bottom of the 10th without having to score multiple runs. That's all great. Here's the issue. Kyle Schwarber needs to be better at the top of the lineup. He can't just be a home runs guy if he's going to be up there. He's got to see more pitches and get deeper into counts. Bryce Harper had 2 huge opportunities. 1 bases loaded, 2 outs. Got out. Line drive or a ground ball right back to the pitcher. Runner on first and third. 1 out. Strikes out to end the inning. Or 2 outs. Strikes out to end the inning. He had those opportunities where he left 5 runners on base. You're Bryce Harper. It was a 0-0 game at those times. You're in a playoff push. You're getting paid too much money, and you're too good of an athlete to not cash in there. This team only is going to do as well as you can do. You're carrying this team. You did it last year. It sucks that you have to do it again this year, but frankly, the great ones always do. Look at what Mike Trout does year in and year out. Look what Shohei Ohtani does year in and year out. Look what Aaron Judge does when he's healthy. Look what some of these players like Ronald Acuna or Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts, or guys that are the top-tier baseball players that are in MVP discussions, they show up for their teams week in and week out, year in and year out, and Bryce has got to be better doing that. Rhys Hoskins, Alec Boehm have both been in big-time cold streaks lately. They've got to step it up. They have to be consistently not better, but because they have the peak. They have moments where they're really good. But consistently, like I said, consistency is the key. They have to consistently be able to produce, or the Phillies aren't going to be able to compete. Now, the good news is with the Brewers winning yesterday and the Padres winning yesterday, the Phillies did not lose any ground with the win. It was a huge comeback win. The game felt lost, and the fact that they kept fighting was an incredible thing to see. But still, there are issues with this team that need to be resolved. We didn't see it yesterday, but the starting pitching has to be better, and we'll discuss coming up the matchups in the games against Atlanta. The Phillies are going to be favored in less games than the Braves. I'll tell you that to start. We'll go through it. But this team still has work to be done. Maybe the momentum of last night's walk-off win, though, ripping Matt Vierling's shirt off and celebrating after the game, is enough to push them back into one of their winning streaks. They have to be better, though, as a team. They have to be cleaner. They have to play winning baseball. And despite winning last night, they're still not doing it. So we'll discuss how the standard, as Jalen Hurts with the Eagles would say, the standard's even higher, and we got to play up to that standard. That was one of those didn't play up to the standard wins last night. We'll discuss coming up next if they can do better against the Atlanta Braves. I want to tell you about my friends over at Nugenics, though. Nugenics, who brings us today's program. Now, you know Nugenics. They've come up with an incredible testosterone booster that you can use to get yourself back to, well, your right form, the shape you should be in. If you feel like you've got not as much energy as you used to, you can't work out like you used to, maybe not the performance in the bedroom that you'd like, well, go ahead and check out what Nugenics has to offer. Nugenics Total T, well, it can help you out with what you need, that testosterone booster to get you back to feeling like a younger, stronger version of yourself. You can get a complimentary bottle of Nugenics Total T to try out and see what I'm talking about when you text MLB to 231-231 and text now, and you'll also get a bottle of Nugenics Thermo. It's their most powerful fat incinerator ever. It's got key ingredients to help you get back into shape fast, and you couple that with the Nugenics Total T, man, you'll be feeling like you're 20 years younger. As a guy who gets in the gym a lot, who does a bunch of active stuff, I know how much it means to a lifestyle to be able to do that stuff. And if you find yourself not able to anymore, you got to reach out to everyone at Nugenics. Again, text MLB to 231-231. You can get a complimentary bottle of Nugenics Total T and also get a bottle of Nugenics Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever. All right, the Phillies have a series coming up with the Atlanta Braves. It's their final home series of the year. And everyone but Zack Wheeler will throw for the Philadelphia Phillies. The first is Suarez, then Nola, Falter, and Gibson will follow. Suarez will start tonight's game, a 7:15 start. He'll match up against Max Fried. Fried has been the Atlanta Braves' best pitcher outside of even Spencer Strider included. Nice, by the way. Strider, not nice that he's hurt, but he has a little bit of a strain. He's scratched from his start. He's not going to throw against the Philadelphia Phillies. Instead, you're going to see Jake Odorizzi again, Kyle Wright, and then Charlie Morton. Now, Suarez and Fried, got to give the nod to Fried. He's been incredible. Nola and Odorizzi, the nod goes there and Nola there. So right now we're 1-1 in this series if we're just judging by who's the overall better starting pitcher. Then Bailey Falter faces Kyle Wright. And Kyle Wright has, I think, like 19 wins on the year or something. He's almost won 20 games. Is that it? Yeah, he's got 19 wins. He's going to be a 20-game winner for the Atlanta Braves if he gets a winning decision in this game against the Philadelphia Phillies or one of his next two starts before their year is over. A real chance he's a 20-game winner, though. I got to give the advantage to him. Kyle Gibson faces Charlie Morton next. And even though Morton has been rough against the Braves or against the Phillies in the past, and last time he pitched at Citizens Bank Park, he got smoked. Kyle Gibson got smoked last time out against the Toronto Blue Jays at Citizens Bank Park. I can't have much faith in Kyle Gibson right now. I got to give the nod to Morton. So those are 3 games where the Braves are trotting out a better pitcher than the Philadelphia Phillies. That's not a good sign for what the Philadelphia Phillies are trying to do, which is win more games than they lose. And with the Milwaukee Brewers currently in Cincinnati facing the Reds starting tonight, it's not an ideal matchup to make up games if you're losing. The Phillies are going to have to find a way to fight and win some games that they shouldn't win. The Braves are trying to fight for the division, so they're absolutely playing for something. And anyone who thinks, oh, well, if we lose to the Braves this time around despite the Mets, it's okay, you're kidding yourself. These games need to be won. These games need to be fought for. If you lose, you are putting yourself big time in danger of collapsing, especially considering the Brewers could be on their way to a 4-game sweep of the Reds. That's not unrealistic to say. Take care of business against Atlanta. Who cares about the division? Who cares about the Mets? You're going to have to play them like it's a playoff atmosphere every time. And frankly, with no more home games after this series at Citizens Bank Park and the first playoff series being entirely on the road, these are your playoff games, Philadelphia. If you're fans, these are as close to playoff games as you may get this year with a team that's going to come close to winning 90 games in your Philadelphia Phillies. So go out and support. Take advantage of it now. It may be the last chance you get. And that's not a knock on the Phillies. That could be a hard-fought first-round series, and they just end up falling to a better opponent. So treat it as such. These are playoff games for the Philadelphia Phillies. Go out, take advantage, win more than you lose, or try and split. And I would be very, very happy with their performance versus the Atlanta Braves if that was the case. Coming up next, we're going to do a little something fun and just recap what happened last night at one of the best promotions in baseball. Yeah, last night was Dollar Dog Night, and so much fun. The line for me I set for myself was 5.5 dogs. I ate 6. A couple other people had set the line at 6.5, so sorry to disappoint there. I wasn't making it to 7. And man, let me tell you, I had heartburn all night last night trying to fight off the 6 hot dogs that I ate. It didn't feel good. I'm not doing it again until next season, but I can't because it was the last Dollar Dog Night of the season. So I'm gonna rest up and get ready for next season. I'm kind of hurting right now. I might need, like, you know how players get end of the year surgery that they've been fighting off over the past couple games. Yeah, I might need that for how many hot dogs I ate last night. But it was fun. There were a bunch of people in hot dog suits wearing the hot dog hats. They sold over 45,000 hot dogs. I don't know what the final tally was exactly for that, but I know when I last checked, it was over 45,000. So that's incredible work. That's like obviously over a hot dog for each person that was there, with a crowd of probably about 25,000 in attendance. Yeah, they probably bordered on 2 hot dogs per person, which is great considering there were young kids and there were people who weren't eating hot dogs and stuff like that. It's a valiant effort by Philadelphia Phillies fans, and frankly, the Phillies having Dollar Dog Night might have put them in position to win that game. You think about it, if the Phillies go down on a regular night in an empty stadium, 3-0 in the 8th inning, they might not have the pop that the Philadelphia Phillies had from their fan base last night, being that a bunch of people stayed around to eat more $1 hot dogs. It sounds stupid. It sounds silly. It sounds like be better fans. But frankly, this team hasn't given you quite much of a reason to be better fans with their late season collapses over the past decade. And dollar hot dogs are fun. Dollar hot dogs don't disappoint. They say they're $1. You get them for $1. You eat them. They taste like a dollar hot dog. Advertising and getting what you pay for is not something that the Phillies always give you on the field. But so that's why Dollar Dog Night draws more than the actual team right now. Still, it was a good promotion. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the 6 hot dogs I ate. Had a really, really good time doing that. My buddies all crushed a bunch of hot dogs, 7, 8, 9. The record, I think, is still 13 hot dogs, which is disgusting for a group of my friends. I'm sure there are people out there who have done more, which you're an absolute animal. I respect everything about you if you've eaten more than 13 hot dogs in a single Major League Baseball game. But, man, I got to 6, and I was happy with that. Either way, it was a fun promotion, and I think late in the game, the fact that a bunch of people stuck around for that, and it was already a bigger crowd because of that, factored in to the Phillies' ability to win that game. So, hey, you love to see that. Let's continue to bring the energy for the next 4 games against the Atlanta Braves, because those are, again, as close as you'll get to playoff games at Citizens Bank Park. It's very probable this season. That's all my time for today's Locked On Phillies. Like I said, a bit of a shorter episode because of the technical difficulties. I want to make sure I get this out to you in time for tonight's game. Thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, Sully, he's incredible covering baseball in general. Albert Pujols going for 700. Aaron Judge going for the American League home run record. Everyone short of Barry Bonds, he's looking to overtake. Sully will be covering that, and he'll be covering the playoff races and everything there. So check out Sully's work over there on Locked On MLB. It's available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, and the Odyssey app. That's all my time. Sorry again for the short episode. Got to do what I got to do with the technical difficulties to get it out. But hopefully I will talk to you again tomorrow after a Phillies win over the Atlanta Braves. See ya next time on Locked On Phillies.